Alright, I'm going to try to be calm in this video. A couple hours ago, it came out that according to Jeremy Fowler, source, the Lions plan to release defensive end Za'Darius Smith. NFL veteran, had 9 sacks in 16 games last season. Za'Darius Smith, we traded for him at the trade deadline last season. We gave up a 2026 fifth round pick and a 2025 sixth round pick. We got Za'Darius Smith and a 2026 seventh, I believe, in return. He played, I believe, 8 games for us. He was inactive the first game, and then he played the rest of them. Now, don't get me wrong. Za'Darius Smith, I expected him to do a little bit more than he did. But he was still the second best pass rushing defensive end or just pass rushing guy on our team in general, except Aiden Hutchinson. With Za'Darius Smith being released, these are your defensive ends for the upcoming season if we were to do nothing in free agency in the draft, which at this point I'm expecting Brad Holmes to do nothing. Aiden Hutchinson, you take him out, it's Marcus Davenport, Joshua Pascal, Mitchell Agude, Nate Lynn, Isaac Unklu. That's worse than we ended the year with at the defensive end position. And I don't understand why Brad Holmes is doing this. This was a it made no sense whatsoever to release Za'Darius Smith. None. We save about 5.7 mil this year. I've heard some reports we save about 5.7 mil, and we also could save like 11 million. I don't really know. I'm assuming it's 5.7. And if it is 5.7 and we release Za'Darius Smith for $5.7 million, this is what draw the line. We've re-signed Marcus Davenport for up to $4.75 million. And we only save, what, $5.7 million by cutting Za'Darius Smith, so you only get $1 million in return? In my opinion, Brad Holmes is going to do nothing this free agency. You would think there'd be a plan brewing for this, but I have no clue. There are a couple of guys that I've not done free agency profiles on. Matter of fact, a lot of guys that I've not done free agency profiles on at the defensive end position who have been released in the past couple of days. You got Von Miller, Joey Bosa, you got Harold Landry, who's one of my top targets in free agency now, that are available. But this pass rush is horrible. It's really bad right now. If we re-sign, I thought this as well. If we re-sign Levi Onwuzurike with the money that we cut from cutting Za'Darius Smith, I am going to lose my mind. Za'Darius Smith is 2 times better than Levi Onwuzurike has been his whole entire career combined. Levi Onwuzurike, he's a solid 3rd string, 4th string defensive tackle. He showed some flashes last year. But let me tell you right now, he is not going to impact that defensive line as much as a guy like Za'Darius Smith would. And I know that Lions fans are like, well, Za'Darius Smith, he was just going to be a depth piece potentially. From what a lot of Lions fans were saying, we're going to draft a guy at pick 28. We're going to take Mike Green. We're going to go sign Josh Sweat, Azeez Ojulari to become the new starting opposite defensive end. Which we still could do that. And I never had Za'Darius Smith being a starter heading into next season. I had somebody else taking over for him, and he would become a guy who would get 30-40% of the snaps. First off, because he's old, and second off, he just doesn't need to be getting 80% of the snaps. He's not consistent enough. That's the only thing about Za'Darius Smith that's unfortunate. He's not consistent enough. He's not consistent enough like he was on the Packers. He's consistent getting to the quarterback. Like I said, I'll get you 8 to 10 sacks a season, but in terms of per game, he's either going to have a game where he only gets like 2 pressures, and he'll have a game where he gets like 8 to 10. So, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's still 2 times better than what we have. Now, at the moment, we have still not re-signed Al-Quaid Muhammad. Doesn't make any sense. Al-Quaid Muhammad just played as good as Za'Darius Smith this past season. He's not going to cost anything. Why haven't we brought him back yet? Lions have still not re-signed anybody on the interior defensive line. They have not brought back Levi, Pat O'Connor, Kyle Pecco. They've not brought back any of those guys quite yet. Jonah Williams and Miles Adams as well. And we just got some breaking news. Aaron Jones is re-signing with the Vikings on a 2-year, $20 million deal. That includes $13 million guaranteed. And there we go. Some breaking news coming out of this video. And of course, this good news for the Vikings. If Brad Holmes does not address the pass rush this season, we're not making the Super Bowl next season. And let me tell you right now, next year, not even considering a Super Bowl at this moment right now. We are not in a good position at all for next year. This has to be the year that we get to a Super Bowl and finally bring a home trophy to the city of Detroit. It has to be. There is still a chance we can do something next year, but we are not in a good situation. We're gonna have the lowest amount of cap space we've had in years. In years, we're only projected to have, I think, like $20 million, $25 million next season, and that's without extending Kirby Joseph, Hutchinson, and all that. Myles Garrett, he is sticking in Cleveland. He signed a 4-year, $160 million deal, the $125 million guaranteed earlier this morning, so that sets the bar again for Aiden Hutchinson with Max Crosby as well getting extended. Hutchinson's going to absolutely get the bag. He needs to get extended this offseason. Kirby Joseph, I also expect to get extended, so that cap number for next year is going to go down even more. And Brad Holmes, we need to get 3 or 4 defensive ends on this team for this upcoming season. You know, I don't care who it is at this point, as long as it is somebody who can get to the quarterback. If Marcus Davenport heads into the season as our starting defensive end, you might as well kiss the hopes goodbye. I like Marcus Davenport as a player. I've said that before. I think he does have potential to be a very good defensive end. The problem is he can never stay healthy, and the problem is if he's not a starting defensive end, at least right now. Right now in his career, he's not a starting defensive end anymore. I'm trying to figure out what we're doing. I want to hope that we're trying to go after a guy like Harold Landry, throw him in the bag, or Josh Sweat throw him in the bag, try to trade for Trey Hendrickson. That's what I want to hope for. I don't think we're going to trade for Trey Hendrickson. I mean, you know, I understand Brad Holmes apparently tried to trade for Danielle Hunter 2 years ago at the deadline. I understand he tried to trade for Myles Garrett potentially. So, I mean, maybe we are going to trade for Hendrickson. I don't know. I know he has a relation with Campbell, but this hurts, man. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. Of course, the Lions and Brad Holmes is trending right now. Literally, Brad Holmes is trending. This is unreal. The bottom here, Brad Holmes trending. Oh my god. I know this video is getting a little bit longer than it should be, but I have no grasp of what Brad Holmes is going to do this defensive end class. Again, free agency, the tampering period starts tomorrow. If Brad Holmes does not make a move on the defensive line tomorrow, whether it's a defensive tackle, whether it's defensive end, I'm going to trip out. I'm going to trip out. Let me just think of all the guys that we could target, all the big name defensive ends who can start opposite Hutchinson or be a third string or be your number 3 defensive end. Josh Sweat, Harold Landry, Azeez Ojulari, Khalil Mack, Matt Judon, Hassan Reddick. He's a guy, one of the number 1 targets I'm actually going after. I think he's not going to be really good on a cheap deal. You got a lot of guys you can go after. Who am I missing? Joey Bosa. You got a lot of guys you can go after on the interior. You got Milton Williams. You got Charles O'Menahue. You got Treshawn Wharton, B.J. Hill. You got a lot of guys on the defensive line you can target. There's no elite guys like last year. I mean, maybe you can classify Josh Sweat as elite, but it's just more, number 2, number 3 defensive ends in this free agency class. But there's a lot of them. I'm going to make a prediction that Brad Holmes is going to sign a guy like Celine Farrell, one of the biggest bust defensive ends in NFL history. He's still in the league today. He gets you like 2-3 sacks a season. He was on the Commanders last season. Former, I believe, number 3 or 4 overall pick. He's going to sign Celine Farrell. That's what he's going to do tomorrow. So when I come back after school tomorrow, make a video talking about Celine Farrell coming to Detroit. just expect me to lose my mind. I, I just, I have no words what to say about this release. One, Pride Go Lions. Free agency starts tomorrow. Officially starts Wednesday, but every signing happens essentially tomorrow and Tuesday. Um, Again, this will be the last video, most likely, unless we have some breaking news tonight about somebody being resigned. This will most likely be the last video before the tampering period begins. Um, so hopefully the Lions make a couple moves on the defensive line specifically. We need to we need to do a lot of stuff. Brad Holmes is not cooking right now. I don't know if you guys can see this. He is literally my wallpaper right now. Let Brad Holmes cook. He is burning right now. He is burning. One Pride Go Lions. He burned last year on day one of free agency. Is he going to do it again? Most likely. One Pride Go Lions.